Hello, and welcome back to the Pitching Powerhouse podcast. This is going to be our first episode of 2026, and I'm really excited to talk about how you can take your pitches from getting a 2% conversion rate to a 25% conversion rate by editing those boring, generic, so obvious AI pitches so that yours actually get read and actually get a yes. Okay, how does that sound? First of all, Happy New Year. I hope everybody, well, it's a little late for Happy New Year, but I hope everybody's year is off to a fantastic start. My kids are both finally back in school. We had a couple weeks. It felt like an eternity, to be honest with you. One of my kids was home for 3+ weeks, probably more like 3.5. And I think we are all excited to get back into our normal routine. And for me, that means recording a podcast for you every single week. So let's do this. I am going to be completely honest. I'm going to walk you through a process that we have created to help you make your pitches actually sound like a human wrote it, even if your foundation comes from AI. And I am going to be honest and tell you when your pitches sound like your robots wrote it and a person had nothing to do with it. It might sting a little bit. I'm going to tell you that I can spot an AI generated pitch from a mile away. And so can editors, right? Every single editor you're emailing is getting probably more pitches now than ever because AI speeds things up and helps PR pros like us with the volume increase of sending more pitches in a short amount of time. We are not here for quantity. We are here for quality. So I don't care if AI lets you send 10x the number of pitches, they better be good. Okay. AI pitches are not the actual problem. It's what you're doing with them after the AI draft that actually matters. So today I'm going to show you exactly how to edit your AI drafts so that editors will actually open them and they'll give you a yes, they'll respond to them. The reality for all of us is that the AI tools that we sort of started to pay attention to in 2025, now they are everywhere. They're used by all PR pros. It is available to all of us. It's not cheating. We're going to normalize AI use. It's a starting point, okay? It's kind of funny because my younger son is going to be going to high school next year. And so we're considering public school and we're considering to finally make our lives easier because we have never actually had a kid attend a school anywhere near our house from the minute they were in, I mean, even honestly, nursery school, but elementary school. We got my son into a special program. We were on a permit driving probably 45 minutes every morning just to get the kids to school. And then, of course, to pick them up, the same story. We are applying to some private schools just for the ease of having our kid in school kind of close to our house, which would be such a nice thing. And there was a call about the application process, and the admissions director was running through the parent portion of the application. And somebody asked a question and said, is it okay if we use AI? And I thought to myself, don't rat us out. Like those of us who are hoping to use AI and they never explicitly told us not to, like, thanks for calling that to their attention. I know how to effectively use AI because I can use it to get me part of the way, and I know how to make it sound like me, and I know how to make the writing sound like a human wrote it. But I didn't want them to explicitly say absolutely not. So it's kind of a breath of fresh air to hear the admissions director say, look, AI's there, it's out there. You know, your kids are using it. We're having protocols in place so that they can use it with the right attributions and sources, including what their queries were, what the input that they gave AI was in order to get their outputs, to make sure that it's not cheating and it's more a research opportunity for them. But the school said it's everywhere. We're all using it. You know, use it as much as you would like, but know that we do want to hear from you and your writing should sound like it came from you. So I thought that was even interesting in a high school setting for them to acknowledge the ubiquity of these tools and how we all have to adopt a standard for how to ethically use them. Again, it's not cheating, it's a starting point. Let's normalize AI use. I see it as giving me like an organization to my thoughts. So I can automatically come up with ideas of what I want to say, what I'm trying to say, what I'm trying to tie together. And AI will give me a skeleton, but it's on all of us and on me to add the connective tissue that is going to make the pitch robust and interesting, that will help get an actual response from an editor. So I'm going to walk you through an AI edit framework that we have developed and a resource that we have available to you to make this super, super easy. But I'm going to give a few examples of what sounds like an AI robot and how to fix it and make it human and make it enticing and appealing to editors who are seeing so many pitches every single day. We don't want to just be part of the noise and just one of the numbers. We want to be the pitch that gets the yes. So when I say AI pitches are obvious, AI drafts are obvious, here's a couple reasons why. Some very common tells, of course, everybody's been talking about M dashes. That's spelled EM dash DISH. So frustrating because I love writing with M dashes. I have been using M dashes for years and years and years. It's like almost like an aside. It's more powerful than a comma. It's more, it's for me, a better way to kind of have a pause or a break in a sentence than just ellipses. It's a way to connect kind of two thoughts as an aside that I believe is more powerful than an aside being in like commas. I just love M dashes, but of course, so does AI, which is so annoying because I thought that they were a really effective tool in how I like to write. That sounds like how I like to talk. But now I go through and I say no M dashes because I don't want it to look like it came from AI, even if I would have written it and probably included an M dash. So those are obvious tells. Some tells in the actual output of what generic AI output looks like. Everything will sound very smooth and very polite. There's no personality, there's no quirks. It'll sound like, I'd love to connect to explore mutually beneficial collaboration opportunities. No human being that's trying to make an actual connection is going to talk like that. Another thing AI does is it will take the same idea and repeat it several different ways. Like AI will say, you'll save time, become more efficient, and get more done faster. That's the same thing. It's all efficiency, productivity, time saving. It's all the same thing. Another thing it'll do is it will use fancy filler words like additionally, or at the end of the day, or moreover. That's how my kids write when they're trying to sound like smart, or it feels like an idealized college essay, like what you think a professor would want to hear, but not an actual real person. It will have some kind of emotion, but in a very vague way. So AI might say like, this is a powerful and transformative opportunity. But a human wouldn't say it like, this would actually get your product in front of the right people. So you see the difference? One is like no actual lived detail. It's just words. Powerful, transformative opportunity. You want a real life outcome that could be, pulled from that. Like you're going to get your product mentioned in front of the right customers and connect with your target clients. That's the difference, the real lived detail that comes from a human writing it. Another thing that AI will do is say something like, this process can be overwhelming, but a person is going to give context and details to that. Like, how is it overwhelming? You've got 48 unread emails. Your coffee went cold 2 hours ago. That's a sign of overwhelm when that's your experience, a human can put that into those terms that feel like you can make a visceral connection to that feeling of overwhelm, not just say this process can be overwhelming, but how is it overwhelming? The other thing too is that we have been looking to see how research is showing the way that people interact with AI copy and pitches. And there's a study that said that nearly 2/3 of people, so 61.4%, think that they can spot when a cold outreach email was written by AI. But also 44.4% said they would be less likely to engage with a pitch if they could tell it was clearly AI generated. So in other words, almost half of your audience may just tune you out if your email reads like it came from a bot. And the lie that people tell themselves is that if I could just use better prompts, the AI will write the perfect pitch. The reality is that even the best AI, the best prompts and inputs, all of that, it can't do the research. It can't build the relationships. And the strategic positioning that you need to add as a person to make a connection, to write copy, to write a pitch with ideas that resonate with the recipient, especially a savvy editor, people can do that and AI can't. So today I'm going to walk you through a tactical approach to fixing generic AI generated pitches. We have 4 steps for you and a great resource. I'm going to give you examples. So the first step is the intro. Personalize the intro. This is one of the fundamental things that we teach inside the Pitch Lab, which is my program, my membership community that talks all about how to connect with the media, how to write compelling, timely, relevant, targeted emails. And we always talk about personalizing the pitch so the person receiving it knows that you are familiar with their work, you have read their latest articles, listened to their latest podcasts, you know what they're all about. And making a connection where they can't ignore your pitch because it's clear you're familiar with the kind of content that they cover and the audience that they write about it for, all of the things, right? So personalizing the intro, the problem with AI is it's going to write a generic opening because it doesn't know the journalist. It doesn't know anything about them. The specific kind of copy or like behavior it demonstrates is, I hope this finds you well, or I've been following your work. But what you're going to do differently as like an actual human being making a real connection, find one relevant article that they have written, the last one that they've written. If they write a bunch, something within the last couple of weeks, and then reference something specific from that article. Maybe it's a source that they wrote about that you're also familiar with that source's work, or a quote that they included, or maybe it's a very specific idea and a list of ideas and one that really connected with you, and connect to why your story matters to their beat, what they cover. You're showing that you are familiar with their work. You demonstrate that understanding of what it is that you cover so that it's a natural assumption that they can make that the pitch that follows is going to be relevant to them. So you want to connect something that they've written about recently to why your story matters to their beat. And you want to give some kind of a through line to all of that so that they see that while you're not pitching them the exact same idea, you're giving them something that shows you get what they cover, you get what their audience is interested in, and you're giving them an idea that's relevant to them. So you are going to take a message and turn it from something very generic and obviously robotic, with this opening line that just feels like you could have written that to literally anyone, and give them a reason why they should pay more attention. So here is like a before and after example of an opening line. So anytime I give you these before examples, just imagine this is written by AI and it could be your starting place. And the afters are how you as a person can adjust it so that it's a human real pitch. Before I could say, "Hi, Susan, I hope this message finds you well. I've been reading your coverage of the financial industry and I'm impressed by your in-depth analysis. I believe I have a story that would be perfect for your audience at the Wall Street Journal. This message fails because it's boring, it's generic, it's robotic. But specifically, I hope this message finds you well. Delete. Doesn't do anything. Coverage of the financial industry could mean really anything. Impressed by your in-depth analysis kind of looks like you read nothing. It's very, very non-descriptive. It doesn't give any detail as to what analysis, what in-depth. You read nothing. Perfect for your audience. Kind of sounds like you're just guessing, especially with all the facts that are missing from above. This shows no evidence that you really know what Susan actually covers. So to personalize it, "Hi, Susan. Hi, Susan. Hello, Susan. Here we are, Susan. I just read your analysis of the regional bank earnings from Friday, particularly the observation that community banks are quietly outperforming the nationals on deposit retention. That trend is even more dramatic than the public data shows. Our survey of 45 regional CFOs reveals retention strategies that aren't showing up in the quarterly reports yet." Very specific. Why this works, you are referencing a specific article from very recently. This is from Friday, so she knows you're on top of her work, including the most recent article. You are pointing out a specific observation that she made, that piece that I mentioned about deposit retention. You're adding depth to her existing reporting. So your insider, you're showing like this insider data that extends to what she already wrote. You're giving her like a little bit more information about something that she obviously is interested in because she covered it, but now there's more to the story. It proves that you understand the beat, her beat, quarterly reports, CFO perspective, not just financial analysis, which is so generic. And one thing to keep in mind is that we do this personalization approach, not to be flattering, not to kiss their butts, talk about how great their work is, but it is proving you actually read their work and you know what they are talking about. This does not take a lot of time to do. Maybe a few minutes per pitch. I mean, seriously, that's it. And it is the key to getting your pitch read, whatever comes next, versus deleted, because they're going to see that generic intro and not even care what follows. So the first step, like I said, is that you have to personalize the intro and you want to make it tie back to work that they've talked to, what resonates with you, something that's timely that they're talking about now. Step 2 is you have to add a unique news peg. You have to give them a reason to care now. Because another problem is that AI is going to generate just timeless pitches. There's no urgency. And what happens is editors will look at that, even if they're interested, and they're just going to file it away and never care to come back to that. It creates this behavior pattern where they're just like saving your message for future consideration, but no urgency, nothing that tells them that they have to think about this right now. What you want to do is you peg it to the news. So tie the idea that you're sharing to current events. Maybe there's a data drop that just came out that's relevant to your idea and your angle. Maybe there's like a seasonal moment that's important right now, or any kind of trends, especially like new year. There's always like predictions about trends for the new year, 2026 trends, like great time to talk about what was relevant in 25 and now a fresh perspective for 26. So it always has to peg back to a reason that they should care about this now. So let's walk through that edit process again. You want to look at what is trending in their publication this week and find that intersection between the trend and whatever your client's idea, expertise, whatever you want to pitch the idea, that's relevant to what is hot and happening and trending right now. So you want to add a sentence or two that explicitly connects your pitch to that moment. So a before and after example showing the news peg insertion. Okay, here's the before. Hi, Sarah. I represent nutritionist, so-and-so, who has some great insights about weight loss and metabolic health. She's seeing a lot of success with her clients and has a unique approach that your readers would find helpful. Here's why this fails. People are always interested in weight loss. I know new year, new you, people always have resolutions and goals and whatnot. But after the first 2 weeks of the year, the pitch has no urgency. It doesn't answer the question, why now? So the editor might read it and think, oh, that's interesting. Maybe I'll come back to this later. But look at this fix and how we tie it to something that makes it relevant for her to think about now. Hi, Sarah. With Ozempic prescriptions dropping 22% in Q4 per a new Goldman Sachs report, and patients hitting the quote plateau phase around month 6, nutritionist Dr. Lisa Park has data on what's actually happening when the medication stops working. Her protocol for 300 plus post Ozempic patients shows why the standard eat less, move more advice, that's the standard advice, is backfiring for this specific group. So why this works, this is the peg that we talked about. The Goldman Sachs report just came out, Q4. That data is current. This Ozempic plateau, that's a trending topic. People are talking about that in this moment. She can cover this story this week because the news peg makes it timely. That's important. 49% of journalists receive over 50 pitches a week. Most of the journalists that I've talked to receive over 50 pitches a day. Keep that in mind. 73% of journalists reject PR pitches due to irrelevance, with average response rates of only 3 to 3.5% through what we call like personalization and proper targeting and story alignment, all of those things we're talking about right now. That can increase responses. They say that they're 30 to 93%, just in different questions asked, more likely to consider a pitch that is properly targeted to them and personalized, and they can tell it specifically for them. So they're looking for not just good stories, they're looking for timely, targeted, tantalizing stories. So peg it to something that is timely now. Why should they think about this and cover your idea now? Step 3 is insert social proof. You want to prove that you're worth their time. Because another problem with AI generated pitches is that it is going to list credentials just generically, like list, almost just like a bulleted resume. It is a boring bio dump that comes usually at the end of the email. And that specific gap in how they're listing credentials and all of them, in the same pitch, is that everything gets equal weight and nothing really stands out. And editors are just going to skim right past that. So you don't need to include every single credential, every single bit of your background and your client expert's background, credentials, certifications, all of that. You want to take a look at all of the things that AI included and delete everything except for 1 or 2 of the credentials that matter to this editor. Not everything, I don't care if she was, valedictorian of her high school. If that's not relevant to the story idea, Who cares? It doesn't matter, right? So the other thing you want to do is, instead of having those credentials, the ones you have specifically chosen as being most important and relevant to this editor, usually AI is going to dump them at the end. You want to include that a little bit earlier, maybe like the second paragraph, but not at the end. So that way they're seeing that little tidbit, like rewrite it to connect the pitch angle, not Sarah's been featured in Forbes, but Sarah's framework for this specific thing you're pitching, maybe it's the weight loss protocol after the Ozempic plateau or whatever, was featured in Forbes last month. Something. So it's not just she's been featured in Forbes, but what did she talk about? What is she known for? That she's getting expert coverage for her unique process or framework or whatever in Forbes, because it shows she is a vetted expert and it talks about what she is sharing that gives her that high level of expertise. So a before and after example of a social proof placement. Here's the before. I'd love to introduce you to Sarah Chen, a financial advisor who specializes in helping millennials build wealth. She has some great insights on recession-proofing your portfolio. Sarah has over 10 years experience in financial planning. She's been featured in Forbes, CNBC, The Wall Street Journal. She holds a CFP certification and has helped over 500 clients, and she's also the host of the Money Moves podcast. It's just like data, info. It's when all of it is written like that. I mean, it sounds fine, like it's fine, but it's not interesting or exciting. So let me give you her relevant, kind of weeding through all of that and pulling the most useful and putting it in context. I'd love to introduce you to Sarah Chen, whose 3-2-1 budgeting method was featured in Forbes' New Rules of Money series last month. Given your recent article on Gen Z's approach to investing, Sarah has a counterintuitive take. The recession-proof portfolio isn't about playing defense. It's about strategic offense in 3 specific sectors. I want to learn about that. That sounds interesting. The difference is, in the after version, we picked one credential that's relevant. That's the Forbes feature on budgeting, and we moved it to the opening and connected it directly to what the editor cares about, and everything else gets cut. Yeah, it's nice to list your resume and all your things that make you truly an expert, but she has her own method. She was featured in Forbes for that method. That's very relevant to this editor and helps position her as an authority without having to list every single thing she's ever accomplished in her professional career. A common mistake to avoid is just don't list every credential. You want to pick the 1 or 2 that matter to this editor. And I really believe social proof, it's not bragging. It's kind of like a risk reduction for the journalist. You're showing that this expert source is credible, they're reliable to support an article on a specific topic, especially if they've been featured before on that very topic or can speak to something and they've been featured talking about something kind of connected to this topic. But you're picking 1 or 2 things as social proof to show that they're not just going to be featuring some bozo off the internet who happened to find the journalist's email, but someone who is an expert, credible, reliable source to support a position that they want to make on this particular topic. So then step 4 is you want to write a clear call to action and tell them exactly what you want. What do you want? What do they have to do next? AI writing, it has kind of vague endings, like, let me know if you'd like to discuss this further. It's just very generic. And what happens is that journalists don't know what you're actually asking for, and they're not going to take the time to try to figure it out. What do you want me to do next? They're not going to like read it again, figure it out, reach out to you and say, what's next? So you need to make it very specific. So instead of let me know if you'd like to discuss further. You're going to say something like, are you open to a 15-minute call? Or something like, would this work as a contributed article for your section? And you want to give them kind of an easy out. So you don't want to just shut down and get a no. You want to kind of give them an easy out and leave the door open. Something along the lines of, if this timing isn't right, I'd love to know what you are working on for the next quarter. And then maybe you add a line about your availability so that they know how, like I said, you want a strong call to action. They know how to connect when you're available. They don't have to ask. You want to eliminate that back and forth. So before and after, strong calls to action. The before call to action, AI probably, sniffed out from a mile away. I'd love to discuss this further with you at your convenience. When is it ever convenient for them to talk to you? Probably never. Please let me know if you're interested in learning more about this story. I'm happy to provide additional information or connect you with my client for an interview. Looking forward to hearing from you. Best regards, Sarah. What's wrong with this is at your convenience, it's going to get pushed to never. There's no urgency. There's no timeliness. It's a big nothing. If you're interested in, makes them do the work to figure out what they might actually be interested in. They're like, I don't know, am I interested in this? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. I'm not going to take the, legwork to figure this out. Happy to provide additional information. That's really vague. What are you talking about? What information would you provide? Looking forward to hearing from you is kind of passive and it's a little desperate. It's like a little pick me and a little I don't care all at the same time. But overall, this call to action has no timeline, no specific ask, no easy, clear way to say yes. And that's just not going to get any attention. But after, let's take your human brain and connect with a strong call to action that gets another human to want to take the next step with you. So the strong call to action. Would this work as a 500-word contributed article for your small business section? I can have a draft to you by Friday. Alternatively, if you'd prefer to interview my client directly, she's available for a 20-minute call this Thursday or next Tuesday morning. If neither of those angles are a fit, not a problem, no worries at all. I'd love to know what topics you are planning to cover in Q1 so I can send relevant pitches your way. Best, Sarah. The reason this works is you're offering a specific format. That's 500-word contributed article. They know exactly what it is that you're offering. Contributed article, you could also offer 3 to 5 bullet points on quotes that they would give or tips and strategies around a specific topic so that you're showing that they can talk about, not just a contributed article, which means that the editor would consider running that with your client as the author, but you can also offer some kind of quotes or tips that they can include your client as the source, not as the author of the piece, but as a source that they quoted to make their point. The specific placement mentioning the small business section shows that you know their publication, you know what that writer is actually writing for. The timeline, when you include by Friday, creates some urgency. It shows that you are reliable. If you give an alternative option, like a phone interview with specific dates, that gives them a choice without having to be, back and forth figuring out schedules and without being vague. Let me know if you're interested or, am I interested? That's pretty vague, but you're giving them an alternative option with a phone interview. It gives them a clear choice and some things to choose from without the back and forth. If neither fit is an easy out and it takes the pressure off and it opens the relationship up to continuing down the line, if neither fit, let me know what you are working on. So you're like, no pressure. I'm building a relationship. How can I help you? And the forward-looking question that you say, what are you working on in the future is valuable intel, right? If they give you any information whatsoever, It is valuable information that you can, keep and reference, and also think maybe other editors are working on topics around the same timeline as well. It gives you like the opportunity to turn like a maybe or a no into something that you can reference in the future to give them even more targeted, relevant information that they're considering. And the tone that you take here, if you notice, it's pretty confident. You're not begging. You're not, kind of like waiting, like, I'll just be over here waiting for the phone to ring. Please call me. You're presenting clear options. Vague calls to actions are going to get vague responses or no response at all. But these specific CTAs are going to get a yes or a no answer. And even a no answer is valuable. Yeah, of course, we all want to get yeses, but sometimes you're like, did they get it? Did they read it? What are they thinking? Even if it's a no, you can always follow up and they got your pitch, they read it. And now you can open up and build a relationship. So this editable template, I created this AI pitch editor, and it is a copy paste template that's going to walk you through these 4 edits every single time. And how it works is that you generate your pitch in ChatGPT or let's say Claude or Gemini, whatever your AI tool is. I'm kind of moving away from GPT and moving a little bit more towards Gemini. I think it's the newest version is actually really cool and kind of top of my list of the AI options out there right now. But whatever you're using, generate the pitch first in AI and you get your draft. And instead of just quick little edits, sending it over, you are not going to send that raw, robot pitch. You are going to open the template, which you can grab at generationacademy.com/resources, or we'll also put it in the show notes for this episode. And you're going to take your AI output and paste it into this template. And the template has 4 sections. I just held up, if you're if you're watching YouTube, you watch me hold up 2 fingers. If you're listening to the podcast, I literally said the word 4 and held up 2 fingers like a total dork. Anyway, 4 sections. And now I am holding up the right number of fingers. Oh my God, it's been a long day. Section 1, it will say add personalization here. It's going to give you an exact formula. Editor name. I saw your piece blank, which is the title, from blank, the date or like the recent sort of time they publish it. And then you want the specific detail that connects. You will fill in the blanks based on your research, and you drop that sentence before your AI's opening paragraph. So you have this personalized, connected, timely little bit of copy that a robot just can't write itself. We give you the prompts and you put in the information, and then your AI is going to generate, a sentence that is a great personalized intro. Section 2 says insert news peg here. So it's going to show you exactly where to place it right after the personalization, before the main pitch, and give you that phrase structure. So it says with, current event, where you put that in there, transition to angle, that's in the template. You will spend 2 minutes on Google finding what's trending in their publication this week, finding maybe what's trending on the topic that's been announced in the news, that's kind of like newsworthy and now-worthy. And you are going to connect the dots with that prompt in the news peg. Section 3 is a delete/add checklist. So it lists the AI phrases that you need to cut. Like, I hope this finds you well, excited to share, and all of that other generic stuff that's just filler and robot speak trying to sound human. And then our template is going to show you where to insert your client's most relevant credential, 1 sentence, how to tie it in to the pitch that makes them an expert, credible expert source for them to consider. 1 sentence, and that's it. And then section 4 says replace this ending. And it gives you the call to action formula that we just covered, that specific format, the alternative option, the forward-looking question, and you just fill in your details. And it is going to give you a very strong call to action. So you can close your pitch with the next step to take, being very, very clear. The template will also include before and after examples, the ones that I just read to you, so you can reference it anytime that you like. If you're kind of like, oh, wait, what does this actually look like? Those examples are going to be in there for you. So, AI gives you the pitch structure in 2 minutes, and you are going to add a strategic layer that's human, that's all about connection in like 5 to 10 minutes. So think like 7 to 12 minutes per pitch. And I know what you're thinking, Jen, that's so much longer than just letting AI do it. I know, sure. But here's the math. If you send 50 generic AI pitches and you have a 2%, sometimes lower response rate, that gets you like 1 yes. Sending 20 edited pitches, which you can write in the same amount of time, with a 25% response rate gets you 5 responses, 5 yeses, 5 next steps. So which one sounds better to you? One reply to your junky generic pitch, or possibly 5 because you have now, it takes a little longer, but you don't have to send as many and you're going to have a higher response rate. You're not here to send volume. You're here to get coverage, the right kind of coverage, and coverage is going to come from pitches that feel human, that feel timely. There's some sense of why now that is, answered, and that feel like they were written for that specific editor. It's that simple. It's using AI, taking what the output that it gives you, and still following the fundamentals of timely, relevant, targeted, tantalizing pitches, using AI to help you do that, but understanding it does take a little bit of human input, research, all of that. But we make it easy for you. So here's what I want you to do right now, so you can get this resource. Seriously, like if you're hopefully not driving, but if you're listening and you're someplace, you can pause the episode, go to generationacademy.com/resources and download the AI pitch editor template. And then you're going to make a copy, save it to your Google Drive. You can bookmark it, print it, whatever works for you. And then the next time that you use AI to help you draft your pitch, paste your AI output into the template and make those edits, and then send that version. And then do this for the next 10 pitches that you send and track your response rate. Because we know this hybrid approach actually works. You've got AI for speed and you for strategy. And both of those things matter. Now all of this, the templates, the pitch psychology, what's behind why editors respond to some emails and ignore others. All of this together is so important, and it is one piece that you can now easily and quickly conquer using AI, using our template that makes it human, makes it timely, makes it why now they should consider, and also puts it all together in a way that's going to get the yes. So you just learned how to edit AI pitches so they don't sound like every other robot-generated email flooding editors' inboxes, and that's critical. But I need you to kind of zoom out for a second, because we've been talking about AI a lot, and it's funny because every time somebody mentions to me they're listening to my podcast and they say, I love how much you're talking about AI in our industry, and nobody else is really, like, we're all trying to kind of hide it. Either we're afraid of it or we're leveraging it and nobody wants to talk about it. But I'm here to talk about it. AI isn't just changing how we pitch, it's changing everything about how PR agencies operate. It has been said that we're in the middle of the 4th industrial revolution right now. Every single industry is massively disrupted by the advent of AI, and you cannot ignore it, including ours. The agencies that are figuring out how to use AI strategically, whether it's for positioning or pricing or writing their copy, figuring out their unique value proposition in a crowded PR industry, maybe that's your actual business model. AI is helping you figure that out. Those agencies like mine, because we are doing this, they're going to dominate. And the ones that are still running their agency like it's 2019, a little pre-pandemic, push, just like the good old days, those are going to be the agencies that end up, falling by the wayside. The Little Pony Express. It's a cute historical footnote. And I don't want that for you. I don't want that for me. You didn't build your agency to become the 21st century version of dial-up internet. I don't want that for you. We cover the 2026 PR agency model. That is the fundamental business model shift that's happening. It's happening right now, whether you're ready or not. And I talk about why the traditional model is broken, how to price when AI can do execution, and the positioning shift that you need to make that will make you irreplaceable, even in the era of AI. And I put together like this entire webinar to share with you so that you understand the new era of agency model that incorporates AI, how to talk to clients about it, how to get your clients considered in AI, all of that. And, I did that because I don't want any of us to get left behind while everyone else is riding the AI wave. I want you to keep your eyes peeled on your email inbox, because if you grab that template, we will send you shortly some information about this masterclass that I put together that is honestly one of the most well-received classes we have ever, ever, ever taught. People are like, this is exactly what I needed to hear. Incredibly helpful. I don't want you to be left behind. And that means when you have this opportunity to attend our masterclass, I want you to show up and I want you to pay attention, because you can have the best storytelling skills in the world. You can craft the best pitches in the world. But if your entire business model is built for a pre-AI era, you, my friend, are rearranging deck chairs on the Titanic. You're going down. And I don't want that for you. And I certainly don't want that for me. So go download that free. It's totally free. Why not? The pitch editor template, and use it this week. Keep kind of track of how those significant, simple but significant edits are changing your response rate. And then keep your eyes peeled on your email so we can talk about future proofing your entire agency, not just your pitches, but your entire business model moving forward. It's coming. It's really good. I want you to be there. So pay attention to emails that we send to you so you don't miss that masterclass all around how to run your business in the era of AI. And in the meantime, go out there and crush it this week. I'm going to be here crushing it too, especially because my kids are at school. The world is my oyster. I can conquer the world. At least that's how it feels when you have like 6 hours of your day just totally slated with no interruptions. I'm a new woman. 2026, here I come. Crush it this week. And I will see you here in our next episode of Pitching Powerhouse. Have a good one.